is up, fantasy fans? As always, I'm Shay from the channel Zachary Shay, and today I wanted to do a review of one of my favorite self-pub fantasy books of all time, one of my favorite fantasy books of all time, one of my favorite books of all time. And I've talked about this quite a bit on the channel, but book 2 halves 1 and 2 are coming out soon, or I guess you could say volume 2 and 3 within the whole trilogy, but book 2 is split into this kind of duology, and this will be the completion of the story, and that is The 12th World, book 1 being Dreams of the Dying by Nicholas Lietzau. The mind is a malleable thing. Soil, if you're feeling poetic. Depending on the seed, anything will grow in it, from graceful gardens to idyllic meadows, from weedy forests to foggy swamps. Harmonious or chaotic, peaceful or perilous, healthy or ill. It's all a matter of seeds. People are so quick to point at all those inspiring stories of catharsis, completely ignoring the fact that the vast majority of broken never beat their demons, that the drunkard son stayed with the bottle, the war widow never conquered her loneliness, and the defiled child never wiped that imagined black stain from their soul. Because in a world that worshipped the victorious, who the hell wanted to hear about the defeated? If you fight injustice with injustice, no matter how deserved it may feel, you'll always end up as just another turn of the wheel. If your mind is the enemy, where do you run? All right, so I've talked about this in shorts. I've mentioned it in my different Trope-born top 10 list, top 15 fantasy books of all time list. I brought this series up a bunch, but I haven't given it a dedicated review. And a big reason for that is that I have not read it since I think I was living in Hawaii last time I read this, so it was like 5 years ago. But it has stood out in my mind, and I still remember so many details from it. And I don't know if I'll reread it before books 2 and 3. I may audiobook right before book 2 comes out, or I may just dive into book 2. Usually, unless you have an ungodly gap between books 1 and book 2, I can kind of orient myself the further I read into a book. And I'm just not a big rereader. Ironically, I've reread more books this year than I usually do. So this book follows the character of Jespar Trey Moresti as he is hired to save the world's wealthiest man from a coma. We as the readers are not privy to why this man is in the coma, but we are given these brief flashback chapters not narrated by Jespar, and to stay spoilers vague, it is somehow connected to the present day plot, and we follow this character known as the Man. So it flips back and forth between the POV of Jespar and the Man, well, the boy who becomes the Man. Oh man, it's so masterfully done. The way he weaves these two sort of POVs. I mean, it's primarily Jespar's story, but that other POV is vital for the story being told. This is a story that examines colonialism, capitalism. It examines melancholia, depression, PTSD, especially PTSD for veterans of war. Oh man, it is such a masterful story. I believe Jespar is probably my second or third favorite self-pub fantasy character of all time. I really enjoy Jespar as a character. I think all the characterization in this book is really expertly done. The voice that Nicholas Lietzau has for Jespar is very distinct. He is a mercenary who has lived through some difficult things and struggles with things he has done, things he has witnessed, things that may not have been within his control, but he feels like they are. He has a very tortured soul, but there's a lot of heart to this character. I would say that this book, as dark as it is, I would not say it's grimdark. I believe the character of Jespar, overall, while flawed he is very heroic in a way. He makes mistakes, but he always does what he thinks is right. Or if he doesn't do what he thinks is right, they are things that affect him. And those choices last with him. And I highly recommend this for fans of modern fantasy, for fans of kind of like a thriller mystery plot within a fantasy world. I recommend this book pretty widely. The prose style is accessible. The characterization and dialogue, in my opinion, are top tier. This is very, very well written self-pub and just very well written in general. And I definitely recommend you should check it out. And I'm going to get into spoilers right now. All right. So I believe most people will figure out that the man was the man in the coma. I'm blanking on it. Whatever his name is. Like I said, it's been a while since I've read this, but I thought that the stuff with Jespar at the end with his lover and the way that he came back, but he wasn't the same. I love that in fantasy. It's one thing I love in Malazan is when a character dies, when they return, they're not the same as they once were. So yes, we get a touch of a happy ending. His lover is back alive and things are going to be happy, and then not the case. It was really heartbreaking to read about that. I'm very excited for book 2. I really want to know what's going to happen with Jespar's sister, where that plot's going to go. What's her name? One of my favorite characters. She appeared at the end on the ship. I'm so sorry I'm blanking on the names. Maybe I should have reread. Unai is the name of the wealthy man. Kawu is the name of the lover. Oh my gosh, I am the worst reviewer to have ever reviewed. Lycia. Love her character. She was a standout in this book. She was my favorite character, aside from Jespar himself. I really, really enjoyed their friendship. Well, more than a friendship. I kind of felt bad for her with the way Jespar was treating things, but I felt for Jespar because he felt a stronger connection with Kawu, and I never felt like he made the wrong decision, even knowing where things ended up with Kawu, because he was true to himself and he was true to his heart. But the universe had other plans. Really excited to see Jespar and Lycia's relationship, whether that be romantic or platonic. I'm really excited to see how that develops. I could see it being written either way, platonic or romantic. Part of me is like, oh, I don't know about romantic, because he kind of, chose Kawu over her. But if Nicholas Lietzau chooses to go in that direction, I will also be open to it either way. But I hope that they both heavily feature in this next book or duology, and I'm very excited to see where Jespar's character goes. I know originally this was a mod for the video game Skyrim Enderal, and Jespar is a primary character, a companion to the protagonist that is a player created character. But I haven't played those games, and 2, I know now that this is now marketed as the 12th world and it's not technically part of Enderal anymore. I could see him taking the book in places that maybe don't even have to fit within the confines of the game. Or I believe, I could be completely off base on this, I don't think the problems with the legality and the having to change the names, I don't think that was because of his Sure AI video game team. I think that had to do more with like Bethesda, because it was technically a video, even though it's its own game pretty much, it was technically made with Skyrim assets. I believe it had more to do with copyright on the side of Skyrim, which in my opinion is kind of BS. But 12th World, Enderal, Delveric, Trey Moresti, whatever you call the character, whatever you call the world, still is a fascinating world, and I'm excited to dive more into it. We get a whole new setting, new maps, new creatures. The appendix in this one is absolutely stacked, and I feel like the same will be true for the following book. I mean, there's so many. That's one thing I admire a lot about Lietzau that I don't think is done a lot outside of like Tolkien, is a real dedication to the world. Drawings, maps, linguistics, appendices with different fantastical creatures. That is kind of just something that is glossed over or is gimmicky within modern fantasy. And Nicholas Lietzau, even the creatures that inhabit different parts of the world, the different fantasy races, there's a lot of science behind why they function the way they function, how they have adapted to their environment and their ecosystem. And I think that this is a masterclass in how to build an epic fantasy world. Along with Sword of Kaigen and the Adan trilogy, it is in my top 3 favorite self-pub stories of all time. And all 3 of those, I would say, are probably in my top 10 stories of all time as well. So pretty high bar. And yeah, I love this book. Cannot wait for books 2 and 3. And thanks, guys. Peace.